Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. I want to do another introduction. I already did one yesterday to this video. Today's Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. I recently made a movie, a video, a video about, a message to Google and YouTube, which I hoped that would get more views and get promoted more. It didn't, but, of course it didn't. I mean, some of my friends on Facebook, I saw that they actually shared the video, which I was happy about. I asked people to share the video, which I usually don't do something like that, but it was kind of important just, personally for the movie to get the video get more views than I normally get on my videos. I'm realizing my days are numbered on YouTube. Of course, there was going to be a time where I stopped making videos on YouTube. It's becoming more of a, reality. So I'm going to finish up this year. This is an election year. And then revisit this next January. Unless I decide to make changes ahead of time for some unknown reason. But I hope that people will subscribe to all my backup channels and Instagram account and Twitter account and all those things. So I'm going to let people know. And if you're not watching my channel, and it's going to be hard to find my channel and all these things if I decide to move somewhere else or, I go in a different direction. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but, it's clear to me for a variety of reasons. Now, the first thing is my exposing Heartfulness cult Dodgy fraud channel was up for monetization. I was trying to get it monetized. And there's nothing that's not monetizable in any of the videos. Now, they could say that I am, cyberbullying or something dodgy or whatever. But they, gave me a chance to appeal. And I made a video saying that you guys are allowing their YouTube channel to push out the Brighter Minds scam. Plus, Dodgy is himself associated with people and organizations that are anti-Muslim. He's associated with these hate groups. And he's, defrauding people, and he has his real estate scams. And he's associated with people like Diaper Baba. And, people from the mission have reached out to me saying that it's way worse than I know. And so there's, I talked about this in a short video. The reason for my channel, that I'm doing a service to the YouTube community because YouTube is promoting a channel that is, doing harm to people. And my stuff is mild and, people can look at it as being critical, but it's based in, truth or whatever it is. And, I don't think it had anything to do with that. The reason they didn't monetize the channel, because the last two channels I went to get monetized, they slow walk the crap out of it. I had, I needed so many views, which I had for months, and they still weren't showing those views. They weren't counting those views. And it took them forever to give me the views when I already had the views. I was well over the 4,000 view minimum. I was already at 13. I'm like at 13,000 views now. I was at like 12,000 views, and they still wouldn't acknowledge that I had the views. And then they just, I went through the process, and I had to, get an AdSense account, even though I had one, with my other channel, and just all this stuff. And they, it took them forever to review the channel. And then they said it wasn't monetizable. And I made this video, which was, explaining what the channel was about. But YouTube changed their policies, and this is what I think really happens. Not just to me, to other people. YouTube's changed their policy so that they will run ads on channels that are not monetized. That's why I got the Gratefullness meditation monetized, so I could prevent ads from running in the meditation videos that were interrupting people's meditation. Before I didn't care about it, but then I'm like, well, people were saying that in the middle of the video that they were meditating and an ad would come on. And so they are running ads despite whether a person wants you to run ads or not. And so there's all these channels out there, old channels that people don't pay attention to. They're not monetized, but they're running ads. And so unless people, want to make money, which not everybody does, and need to make money, YouTube doesn't really have to monetize their channel, and they are able to control, what they do with that channel in terms of running ads and things and make, all the profit. Plus, YouTube has lowered the amount of money that they're paying to channels. They're just, I've seen this not just with truther channels. I remember Kyle Dunnigan showed what he was making, and he had a video that had 500,000 views, and he made like $3, right? And that should have been, well over like $1,500 or something by the old YouTube standards. And so YouTube is paying their partners less per ad. I mean, that's, happening. And they're just, they're squeezing people out. And they're probably at some point going to get rid of the monetization program, for most channels. They make it hard for you to get monetized. They delay the process. And, at a time when they have so many ads to run because it's an election year. And so that brings me to the financial aspect of this thing. Let me switch over to let me go to a ScreenFlow part here. Okay, so this is the past month, April. And this is an election year. So the best year I had before this, this isn't my best year. The best year I've ever had is 2020. And probably one of the better years I had before that was 2016. Of course, my channel grew since then. But in terms of the amount of ads that were out there in election year, it was much easier to make money on YouTube. And so my bare minimum is $3,000 a month. So that's $100 a day. I work every day. So I feel like my work, the bare minimum in terms of what I should accept in terms of monetary compensation is $100 a day. And that's not really $100 a day because I have expenses and, all those things, right? I mean, there's taxes and expenses and the rest of it. So, it's less than that. But, it's, to me, the least I should make is $100 a day for making, videos. And I've been well below that the past basically 2 years. YouTube changed their policy on how much they were paying people, and they dropped the revenues. And lots of people have left YouTube for a variety of reasons, and that's, one of the main factors. And this should be a banner year. They're running political ads. And I've made only $1,400 on my main channel. So that's, half of what I consider the bare minimum. I'll show you my other channel as well. And some of this is the membership program. And so the membership program, I make a little bit less than $800. So $800 of this, almost, half of this is, actually more than half of this is member money. See, this was a member day. Like some of the days that are peaks here, the higher things are days that they pay off the member stuff, right? They pay it off in increments. So let me just explain this. I'm editing. So when I first opened up the member channel, you see that peak, and then the next day after it is when the membership channel became public. So most of my members signed up on those 2 days, right? And so there's a 3-day period where there's more money because they bill those members every month on the day they signed up. And then there's some other peaks along the way. Maybe I mentioned it. But, it's when the person signed up. So every day it's going to have a little bit of member money, depending on when people signed up. And then there's a few days where the bulk of the people signed up. And so, it looks like I'm making money from YouTube, but it's really member money because more than half of the money that's coming to this channel is coming from members. And so the member, again, so they're taking a big cut of the member thing as well. And so if I'll get into this in a bit. I'll explain everything in a bit. So this is 2020. This was the election year. Again, in April, it got better throughout the year, and it was even more money during the winter time. And, I had days here where I made $300. I mean, that's like just those 2 days alone almost equal the entire month. My content has improved. I feel like my content has gotten better. And, if you look at the amount of views here, this was my primary channel, so it's a little bit different. And this was a time where I made multiple videos instead of making long videos. So if you see here, I had 2.8 million views, and that's really not accurate because I wasn't making long videos then. I was making multiple videos, and so there was more views. But the watch time is more indicative, and of course, I gained 6,000 subscribers in that month last year, that time last year. So this was 2020. So 4 years ago, this was the kind of money I was making, the kind of amount of time that my videos were being watched, and I was actually gaining thousands of subscribers. Where now I lose hundreds of subscribers per month based in YouTube's policies. And so here, my watch time was down. Again, I made a little bit less content in April, but I mean this is 28,000 hours is 186,000 hours. So people are not interested in my content as much. Maybe I had more people watching it because YouTube was less hiding my channel. This was my primary channel then. Like I didn't have the Apocalypse Now channel. It was more or less a backup channel. I didn't make regular content on it. In 2020, I really didn't use the Apocalypse Now channel. It was just a backup channel. But because of the algorithms and them not sending out notifications to people, I decided to go to another every other day policy. So this was when I was making content every day on this channel, and so there's numbers are going to be skewed a little bit. There's going to be some more money. There's going to be some more watch time. There's going to be some more subscribers, but not to this extent, right? You see that it would only be twice as much. But in terms of the hours of content, it would stay the same because I make long videos every other day, and sometimes I'll post a journey series video, and so sometimes there'll be back-to-back videos. So, it's about the same amount of content. It's just I'm doing it over longer videos with more ads running, right? Like the long videos have many more ads in them, so the money should probably really have gone up, but it's gone down. But I mean, the subscribers. You could say that's YouTube's fault, but my channel's. People are just not as interested or not finding the channel. People have moved on, and I'm not getting new people, and the watch time's down, and I'm making far less money. So, I mean, it's a dying. My channel's dying basically, right? So this is the Apocalypse Now channel for April as well. You can see here the peaks and valleys. I make a video every other day here. So $40 one day, and then $3 the next, right? $24 one day, $13 the next, and then $4. I mean, these are peaks and valleys. You can see where the days I don't make videos, but the highest amount of money I made was $40, right? And this channel wasn't monetized, and I wasn't really using it in 2020. Again, 56,000 views, 14,000 watch times, and a negative 23 subscribers. But this is from 2022. And so 190,000 views, 47 hours of watch time, 5,500 plus subscribers, and I made $1,300. By $1,300, I mean $1,700. So it's significantly more. And, you can see going back to where I was showing you I'm editing. I just want to mention this. But, doing the every other day videos, I only make shorter videos on this channel. You can see I make a lot less on this channel than the normal channel because the videos are shorter. Because someone commented and said I should make shorter videos. But this is the reason why that doesn't work. The longer videos have more ads in them. And so this is probably when I started to get more, using this channel more. There are times where I use this as my primary channel. If I had a strike or something for a couple of weeks on my other channel. So it's hard to say. But, this channel isn't doing as well either. And, financially and in terms of view counts and the rest of it. So, again, I mean, I don't know what I was doing on that channel. I don't know how many videos I made. But the subscribers, again, nobody new coming to the channel. So this was last year on this same channel. And you can see the money was worse than the previous year. but I must have gotten a strike here, right? So there's a lot of zeros here. And so these numbers are still better than this past year. So this is 2023 custom range, more views, more watch time, more subscribers, and more money. And as of April 22nd, I was on a strike here. They must have given me a community guideline strike. So I didn't make videos for, about 10 days. And so, part of this is YouTube. Part of it might be the audience. Part of it is whatever it is. But, you can see the direction. You can kind of see the writing on the wall, right? And so, it's down from last year. And last year I told you my channel was dying. And so I think it happened at the end of 2022. They cut ad revenues. And again, I want to really emphasize this point. In an election year, YouTube, pays more money per ad, per impression. They charge more money to advertisers because there's more ads available. YouTube doesn't have enough videos for all the ads that are running for elections and things like this. And so there should be more money this year, and it's dropped from last year, right? This should be a better year from last year, and it's gotten worse. So that tells you everything you need to know about YouTube and the whole thing. I tried advertising on YouTube, and I just gave them more money for no results. I got a small boost in subscribers, but it wasn't, it wasn't worth it. I tried to figure that the maximum I could pay was like $1 per subscriber. The idea that I would make back $1 from every new subscriber, right? Through them watching ads, through, and I don't know how it would go, it's impossible for me to calculate that based on my, business skills and whatever else. But I thought maybe that would be the maximum I could pay, and I was paying way more, and it wasn't working. They weren't getting the advertisement out. I tried to advertise on Twitter recently, and it seems hard, and they rejected my ad or something. Whatever happened with it, they didn't even look at my ad. I don't even know if I did the thing right, but I think that it's. For me to pay money at this point when I'm basically losing money, not making enough money to sustain the channel, and I don't think that's the way to go. I had some other ideas about ways to get my content out there, but the first thing that I have to look at is YouTube is a dying platform. YouTube is being, my son says that, his generation, younger people are, of course, they're into TikTok. So TikTok is much more popular than YouTube. TikTok is probably going to be purchased by some American company. And so it's, the American version of it. And so it's going to probably grow from there. And then, TikTok will be replaced in so many whatever. But YouTube and Facebook and, Twitter, maybe to whatever extent, are all dying. And people are going to more specified platforms. And so one of the reasons for me to be on YouTube is that it'll bring in more people, but that's not happening. YouTube isn't getting my content out in front of new people. I'm not bringing in fresh people, and maybe people are just over my content. In terms of the amount of view hours and things like that. Somebody wrote me a comment. I don't know if I saved it. Let me see if I have it here, but I can tell you what they said if I didn't save it. Here, I found the comment. I got to pull it back up here, and the person writes. The likelihood of sharing and watching increases if you cut the most important bits into shorter videos. It's just an advice to get your message out. We all got broken attention spans and information overload. Love, whatever the person. I don't begrudge people. I tell people not to do this, but, this person wants to be helpful. But, I have had a YouTube channel a very long time. And I used to make shorter videos and more of them. And that causes a problem because they don't recommend your videos as it is, right? This is why I went to every other day. This is why I've gone every other day. And the shorter videos, they can only run. The reason I've been able to keep my channel going is long videos with lots of ads on them, right? And that, bums people out or whatever it is. And, the ad thing, it just doesn't really work. But I really am not suited for the alternative of putting stuff behind a paywall, and I don't think I'll make enough money from that. I mean, right now, in terms of the membership program, it's $800. I'm not sure what kind of cut YouTube takes. And so I think I figured this right. So there'd be an extra $240. I just looked it up. YouTube takes 30%. And so that'd be another $240. So it'd be about, $1,000 a month. Which is not a month, just not enough. Plus the other time that I would have to, we'll see how all that goes. But the bottom line is I've been here a very long time. And, I've had millions upon millions of people come to my channel. Let me see what it is here. So, in terms of the lifetime of my main channel, 114 million views. Of course, I have deleted videos and things, and some of them, there's one that had 2 million views. So, I deleted some videos with lots of views. So let's say there's 120 million views conservatively, and out of that, I have 200,000 subscribers, but about maybe 10 to 20,000 people who regularly watch my videos. Not every one, but some of it. And that's, I mean, it's very few people that like my content out of the number of people who've watched it. There people are, you look at the content that's popular and you look at the average person and their intelligence level and their spiritual capacity and, and all of it. And just my not being a sort of, people are, put off by me, right? I'm not the kind of person that, I'm socially not great. I'm not going to say something, bluntly that's going to piss people off, even the people who like me, inevitably get butthurt or, whatever it might be. I'm not a Christian. I'm not, I don't have any large group where there's all these people that would, I'm not a Republican, I'm not Trump or not flat earther. I don't have these, groups of passionate supporters and things. People who are spiritual in the way that I am, in terms of the, meditation I do and things like that are very few people. And, a lot of those people I'm not, I don't appeal to or whatever with the mocking and things. And so, it's just what it is. Like, it's just, I've accepted all that. I've accepted my limitations. And I don't, jump through hoops and I don't ask for people to subscribe and I don't, talk up and, compliment and give attention to my, viewers and things like this. Maybe people want that stuff. I don't do those live feeds and things. And so there's ways that I could, improve or be more out there, but I'm not good at that stuff, right? And, the good content that I make is not really valued by the average person. My best content, the stuff that I consider the best content, the highest is the least valued. And then, the other things that I can do, mocking, the jokes, the funny videos. But, again, it's, I'm not bringing in new people. And the old people just, they're not going to watch hours of me every day, right? They're just not, like, regardless of. I mean, it's kind of amazing that I've survived this. I mean, if I wanted to be, if I was going to be honest about it, like just, hour-long videos of me just droning on about stuff. It's amazing that people have, tuned in this long, and I've been able to, support myself financially through this process. I mean, that's really the shocker. The shocker isn't, that this is happening now. The shocker is that I've been able to keep it up this long. I'm a little bit disillusioned with YouTube. I'm, of course, disillusioned with the Heartfulness organization and people who, are, I considered spiritual people, many of them saints, in their inability to see the truth of what's going on with Dodgy and the fraud that he is and, all that. So I just got a comment from someone. I'm not going to dissect the comment here, but I'm going to read it on my other channel because it really is, it's for that other channel. But the person wrote, if you truly believed Heartfulness was a scam and Dodgy Master, under Dodgy Master, you would not be commenting. This person's a rocket scientist. I had to say something. You would keep it to yourself and not try to convince others of anything. We are all adults and capable of figuring out the truth for ourselves. No, right? That's not, I mean, let me just read this. You publicize this deranged premise because you want attention. You want to call attention to yourself because you perceive hurts that you feel were done to you. You should try to heal yourself and not blame or badmouth others. You should do lots of cleaning and take lots of sittings from authorized preceptors, particularly if you find one among those who are new, because they have been through many tests. If you could find one among those who are new, because they have been through many tests and are different from old preceptors who have not had this training, you should pray to understand the truth and stop the nonsense channel. One of these new preceptors, so there's, an Abhyasi, a longtime practitioner of the Sajmarg system, that was saying that, Dodgy was defrauding people of $80,000 in real estate scams. This person reached out to me, professional, like, doctor, something like this, right? A person with, living in America, but of Indian descent, and who was a preceptor and was, bummed out by what was happening with the Sajmarg system with Heartfulness, Dodgy's scam, who flourished under Chargy and these things, right? And she said she got a sitting from somebody, and the guy said, Sajmarg is supposed to be something new and spiritual. It's not supposed to be, associated with Hinduism, and it's not an extension of Hinduism. And Chargy said this, like one of his last talks was, this stands on its own and is not an extension of any religion, and all the Hindu stuff needs to go. And the preceptor said, Krishna descended into me and gave you the sitting. Like anybody who knows what Sajmarg is about knows that that's just like crazy. But these new preceptors under Dodgy, like he's lost the capacity to make preceptors. I wouldn't even trust them to give me a sitting, right? But that's they're here. I'm going to dissect this stuff in my other channel. But that's the people that do Sajmarg or Heartfulness now. And it's depressing. What Dodgy's done is kind of depressing, and just the state of the world and whatever. And so I've been thinking about, like, food's going to become a big thing. My wife and I have a farm, and I really enjoy growing food. And it might be I'm going to see what happens, but things are going south quickly, and getting our farm ready. I mean, we still need to do a lot of things to make it sustainable, and we have this whole, we have a lot of things that have to be done, and things are going to start disappearing. We're already seeing that businesses are closing, local businesses, and things that we used to be able to get, you can't get anymore. Like you're going to notice this more and more. Like there's just going to be less and less of, like we've reached our heyday of Amazon and being able just to search for something and find it and purchase it. And, and a lot of these things we used to just think would always be there are no longer going to be there. And some of these things that we need for our farm and getting some of the infrastructure built, and then moving towards growing food and selling food. And there's lots of advantages for that in the future, given the state of, everything that's going on. And so for us, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm starting to think that I want to spend more time doing that and less time making videos. I might just make, 3 or 4 videos a month or something, and, just to keep the channel going. And people might, seek me out later on if they can find me. Once things go south, I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen. But just, like I said, I'm going to do the rest of this year, and then in January, I'm going to reconsider. And, I might take some time off, and, if I disappear for a week or two, it's just because I'm going to be engaged in farming things. There's things I want to get done, and, whatever. And so that's just an update. I want to keep people apprised, and, the writing's on the wall. I mean, it's just there. And there's no reason for me to be on YouTube if they're not going to bring new people to me. And YouTube itself, I just want to say this. The quality of the videos that are on YouTube now, and I don't mean truther videos, I mean in terms of things that I used to benefit from, are either harder to find or they don't exist anymore. And so most of the stuff that they're promoting, or most of the stuff that's on YouTube, just sucks. Like, there's, in terms of any kind of stuff that's helpful, and they don't recommend things, and, they don't recommend things that are, things that I want to know about and things, whatever it is. And so the quality of the content is either gone down significantly, or they're just recommending bad content. And, of course, other people are going to leave and go to other platforms when or just stop making videos if they can't, make money and things like this. And so YouTube is done. I mean, I've known that for a while, and whatever future I have to reconsider all these things. Please don't, say go here or there or whatever. I mean, that's just not helpful. I'm not going to do it now anyway. When I, go to move, I'll look at the different other platforms, if I choose to do that or whatever. A little bit low energy today, so, I'm not psyched about all this stuff. I feel like I have a duty to do what I'm doing here. I feel like I have a gift, but, if people aren't interested in receiving it, I'm not just going to talk to myself, right? Which, kind of what I do anyway. But anyways, it's not a horrible thing. It's just at the end of something and the beginning of something else. So, again, this is, I just also want to say there's a lot of people who have been donating money per videos. Like people have been doing that a lot more lately, which I appreciate. So, that's part of the money that I showed you. So I'm making almost no money from ads. So that, which is fine, but that means I have to figure out, whatever. I'll talk about this more as time moves forward, and it's really just not working. Anyways, let's get into the other introduction here. Okay, so I went out and did some stuff outside. Beautiful day. My dogs found some in the bushes and chased it into the corner. It was a possum, so that was eventful. A lot of animals' life out we have outside and things. But I think this is really important, whether people think so or not. It's something different, something you probably won't hear, maybe never heard before and won't hear today. But I went to, before I get into that, I went to see my chiropractor and I went to Whole Foods. I already had some more thoughts that I want to put into this. Just to go back to that guy who left the comment, it was an Indian guy from India. And for you guys don't know, some of the debacle that is the Heartfulness cult. This guy Dodgy came in and he, brought in just stupid stuff. Like there's a thing called the Brighter Minds program where kids put on blindfolds and they can smell colors and read by touching the page. I mean, it's just really goofy, and it's been proven as a scam before Dodgy even got into it. Like he took something that was already exposed as a scam and he brought it into the Heartfulness meditation when there are, people who are like really smart and people in European and Western countries and certainly America and these other countries that are, they don't fall for, oh, my guru says it, so it must be true. Like that guy did, right? But it, shows you how people are, because that guy's telling me I should do this and I should do that and, these things. But I'm smarter than that guy, right? I know Saj Marg more than that guy, more mature, and I'm more spiritually advanced, right? And I'm not saying that like as a brag or like even as a competition thing. I'm saying it because it's a fact, right? And that's one of the problems with society is people who are lesser than think they know more than somebody who is more evolved than them. It's hard for people to look up and say, hey, that person knows more than I do, right? It's hard for people. Like, it's never been really hard for me. I mean, I guess when I was a kid and I was kind of punky, it was. But not because I couldn't see it. I just, didn't care and wasn't respectful. But now if I'm doing something, if I'm fixing something on the farm or I'm trying to learn something, I can tell the people who are really smart and are really, have a good experience and good insight into that activity, much more than I do, and I listen to them. But most people just don't have that ability to understand somebody is more advanced than them. I know a bunch of guys will comment telling me I should do this and I should do that. Going back to that comment where the person said I should make shorter videos, like I haven't thought of that or I haven't tried it. So here's the thing about making shorter videos, just so you know, like why is a stupid comment, is because the first video will get recommended some of the time. But if I make videos every day, YouTube is not recommended. People would get notified of the video, right? The notifications, possibly. I mean, YouTube doesn't do a good job with that anymore, certainly for truthers. But if you make a lot of content, the computer learning, people can't keep up with the content. And so when people stop watching your videos or can't watch all of your videos, YouTube stops giving them notifications. And so the more videos you put out, the less notifications people get. And then YouTube starts unsubscribing those people on top of it. And so the first video might get, more views, and all these smaller videos after that will get less and less views. And, YouTube switched their program to run multiple ads. And that's why I make long videos, because without the multiple ads, without people watching the whole video, then, I can't make enough money to survive. And that's why I make a long video on this channel every day, and then, a medium long video on my other channel every other day. And even with that, people aren't getting notified, and it is what it is, right? If people can't watch, they can't watch, but breaking it into multiple videos is something that I've thought about. It's more work for me. I get more views overall, but less money and less people watching. People are just going to watch the things that they're interested in. There's only going to be one ad on the video. So, the little short videos get a ton of views, and, they kind of do some kind of ads. I don't know how that works in the shorter videos, like ads between videos. But the short videos don't make anything. They make no money. You can get millions of views on a short video, and you're not going to get compensated. It's like, maybe dollars or something, like a few dollars. And so, I know this because I've survived on YouTube forever. Like, I know all these things. There's things I can't do. There's things that I'm not really good at. I've never been a good social person. I've always had social friends. I always have people that, kind of get me out into the world and get me to do things. People would find out where the party was in high school, or, I just wouldn't, I just didn't talk to people and didn't care, and, all these things. And so I'm not good at that part of YouTube, and that's a lot of, being self-promoting and, all these things. Telling people to subscribe and getting people, I'm never going to be good at any of those types of things. Making people feel welcome and, doing a live video and, and answering people's comments. People want that kind of attention and they want that kind of interaction, and I just can't give it to people. It'd be goofy if I did. If you saw me do it, you'd be like, oh, he sucks at this. It would be uncomfortable. It would be really awkward, right? Because I can't do it in real life. I certainly am not going to do it on the internet. But the real problem is that the videos that I made that made this channel popular, starting with the 95% chance Michelle Obama's a dude, I have matured and I make much better content than that. And, that appealed to a much bigger, broader audience. But as you evolve in your profession, your profession should be like an art form. And the longer that you do whatever you're doing, the more refined your work and the less appreciated it is. You see this with music artists. You see it with people who are actors and things. The better they get, they want more sophisticated, more intelligent roles. They put out more intelligent music. There's a time where Bob Dylan was making all those folk songs, but he really wasn't even into it. He wasn't into the politics. He wasn't into any of this stuff. And then he wanted to change his whole vibe and do rock music, and he got booed at his concerts. So what he had to do was he'd have to play some of his new stuff, and then he would play his old stuff. And if he played his old stuff first, they would just leave. He played his new stuff, they would boo, and they would just want him to play the same songs, right? It's like Play Freebird, that I think it's called the Van Zant family. Is that what it is? Leonard Skinner. And like all the members have died, and they just have this huge family, and they just keep on. It's like the 5th edition of Leonard Skinner, and they show up, and people are like, play Freebird. It's just how people are, right? They want you to, do the thing, the one song that, they like or whatever. Even if you've evolved as an artist and your music has gotten better, but the better it gets, the less it appeals to the masses, right? And so I couldn't make the videos that made my channel popular. And even if I did, YouTube wouldn't put the videos out like they used to. And so it's over, right? Because there's very few people who really will gravitate to what I have to offer here. It doesn't matter anyway, because YouTube is, it's going under. Even if YouTube wasn't after truther channels or wasn't sabotaging, pretty much their whole platform and the monetization process, there's not much market potential, because here are the things. So I have been talking more and more about how everyone has to change and how we're all a part of the problem. And nobody likes to hear that shit, right? I mean, nobody comes to YouTube to hear that, right? No one comes to a truther, videos. I mean, very few people, small percentage of the population. What they want to hear is it's all the elite's fault and it's all Biden's fault, and then some extent, some people Trump, but not really in the truth community so much. But what they don't want to hear is that they have to change. People don't want to hear they have to change. People resist that. I mean, I don't like it. Nobody likes it. They like it when you say other people have to change, but not when they have to change. And with that, the system can't be saved. And that's the other thing. And, these are my conclusions after years of doing this. Like I matured into this. And, I'm closer to the truth. And the truth is, not very palatable to people. And so it's things that people don't want to hear. That, they want to believe that there's some way, that there's a set of bad people and a set of good people, and they're on the side of the good people, and the bad people have to go and have to change. And once the bad people are thrown out of, Biden's thrown out of office and Trump is the president or whatever it is, that they can save the country and make America great again or whatever their worldview is, and that the system can be saved. And it's a good system because they don't want to deal with the fact that they're going to have to change their lifestyle. They're going to have to give things up. They're going to have to deal with all that stuff, right? And I just can't say that Trump is great. I can't pretend that Trump was a disaster as a president and he was a joke when he went in and he never had real power. But what he did do in terms of damage with the Operation Warp Speed, the way he went out, and the way he's been ever since, and he's more part of the problem. And we're going to get into how he's going to just green light Israel for everything in this video. But that's not what people want to hear. And I just can't pretend that the Christian religion is going to deliver on its promises because I know it's not. And I know that, Christians don't want to hear that, but, the Bible isn't an accurate document, and it's actually hurting people's ability to connect to the divinity within them, which is the next real step. And people don't want to hear that either, right? That, you're not going to survive this next phase if you don't have an internal relationship with God. And people's egos don't like that. I mean, that's everybody. Even the most spiritual people, their egos fight with their souls and don't want to accept, don't want to submit they don't want to give control over to the soul. That's a struggle that every person goes through, every saint, every spiritual person, every, avatar, every, higher developed being that came down here, even with specific work, they still struggle with that. It's just a natural struggle. The human ego is, it needs to be like tamed to a certain extent, and the taming process is not an easy process. And so the stuff I'm talking about now, either people don't have much interest in, or I'm saying things they don't want to hear. And then YouTube is, doing what it's doing. And I'm just, I feel kind of burnt out by the whole thing. I feel like, if I started to do other things around the farm, eventually I realized, or I knew that it would come full circle because this was originally a homesteading channel. And I was documenting my family's homestead stuff. And, I was doing more homesteading. I made one video a month. And, with the price of food and the inevitable shortages. So anyways, I just went to Whole Foods, and my wife and I have talked about this, that things are disappearing that we used to buy in Amazon that aren't there anymore. And businesses are going under. A couple of local businesses we just heard about, and they're all these businesses are going under. And when I went to Whole Foods today, we were getting these pretzel rolls, which I really enjoy. They're not organic or anything, but there was like a whole shelf of these products at Whole Foods, and they're gone. And there were no other rolls. Like I'm making sloppy joes tonight. And there was no other rolls, and there was just, I was surprised at how many things were missing. And there were things that were out of place where they just didn't want to have empty shelves. And so it kind of was reminding me of what happened with COVID and how quickly the shelves emptied out. And, that's not a good thing. And what you're going to see is more and more of your lifestyle disappear, and things that you thought that you would always be able to get, you won't be able to get. And, that's going to be, I don't know what the arc of that is and how fast it's going to happen. But eventually there won't be much food, and the food will be, locally grown, and people are going to have to do their own sort of victory gardens, and food will be, it's already starting to happen. And when their shortages kick in, and, especially for quality food, that's not this factory farm, cancer or heart disease on a stick kind of corn doggy kind of food that you see. And so, eventually I'm going to have to pivot and work more on the farm and, produce income from that. And we need to build the infrastructure for that. And so, I see that being something that appeals to me. I'm just, the internet thing never got resolved. I talked to 6 or 7 different people from Verizon, and they never sent me the tower, but they sent me everything else but the tower. Now I have to return all these other things, and I have to call them back. And, I spend so much time dealing with them for inferior product and inferior service. And I wrote back to our old internet, and they had offered me a good deal when they said that I was leaving. They said I could come back anytime at, a discount, because, they were out for they had an outage for about a week. And so that's when we switched to the other, whatever, the 5G Verizon thing. And, either way, like, the service isn't great, and I'm struggling with the internet today. I have a Journey series video I started to upload this morning, and it's at 11%. I have to stop it because I want to upload this video. And so, it's 11%. It's been uploading for 4 hours. Like, I'd have to upload this overnight and then in the morning, and then, maybe it's like a 6 or 7 hour Journey series, almost a 7 hour Journey series. But my internet's so slow now, and just, the whole thing's just, everything. And so that's how I'm feeling about everything. I just want everyone to know, I'll make some sort of content. I'll keep the Gratefullness stuff going. I'm going to, stop making videos. I have a bunch of videos to put up on the exposing Heartfulness cult Dodgy fraud channel, because it's just, nobody's watching it anyway. It's not getting compensated. And I put up enough information for people to gravitate to it or not, but I don't owe them anything, the members of the system. But I'm saying all this because, changes that are upon us, we're all going to have to change. And it's like an art form, being able to read those changes and not panic just because things start to change. You don't want to go too soon. Just knowing the right time, and, just the writing's been on the wall for my YouTube channel since 2016, right? It's been a miracle that I've been able to keep afloat this long and, ride all the various waves of community guideline changes and, all the anti-truther stuff and all this, conspiracy theory garbage that they put out, and then just, evolving, to where my, sort of outgrowing the majority of my audience and things, and just not being able to make the same videos over and over again that, I just can't make Freebird over and over again, just to, I'm not going to do that, right? Like, I feel like, it's my duty and my job to tell people the things they don't want to hear, because they're not going to get it from, anybody else, or very few other people are going to tell them those things. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this thing up. It's going longer than I wanted. So, again, I'm going to continue through this phase or whatever. And then, I also want to mention, I'm going to talk about Trump and the protests. I haven't looked at it yet myself. I haven't watched the news today. But my chiropractor said something happened at UCLA, some big protest thing. I'm totally unaware of it. I'm going to look at it in a little bit. I might not cover it in this video, but, everything's falling apart, right? And the signs of our collapse are everywhere. And, I offer something here that nobody wants, in terms of the connecting with the divinity within them and the truth about things, institutions, religions, and Trump that people don't really want to, deal with. And so, even if they agree with me, there needs to be more solution. There needs to be more what can we do about it type of stuff. I cover the spiritual aspect of it, And eventually I want to get more into the homesteading and community building and things like this. And, going back to the, coming up with a plan B for, what happens after the collapse or even before the collapse. Not prepper stuff, but just, common sense things and how to process things and deal with them and how to start making yourself into something other than a person who's, sucking off the teat of the beast, right? Sucking off the teat of the beast. Anyways, that'll be the title of this video. All right, so I'll get into my other stuff here. I got one more thing to say. I actually feel a little bit better. I was kind of tired today. I took a nap and my headache's gone, and I was just kind of lingering today a little bit. And I did some things outside, but what I want to say about this is that my YouTube channel has stayed alive for a very long time. And, I've flown under the radar, which is the best place to be. Like, I would like to be, have more viewers and more, whatever it is, right? More of everything. But, I wouldn't like to have so much that, my channel was noticed. It's always better for me to fly under the radar in general, and that's probably a big part of the reason why I've survived so long. The thing about it is that inevitably, it's something that's happened it started sometime last year where YouTube cut the revenues and they seem to be shadow banning on another level. It's gotten more and more to where they just exclude certain channels. And then me trying the advertising and me trying all these things and then finding out how dysfunctional YouTube is with its machine learning. And, and I've been making videos now every day. I've been making videos almost every day for the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever it is, which is part of what I've had to do to stay alive and, keep the channel financially viable. But it's a lot of content. And I have a solution, and that's one of the reasons I've kept going because, in terms of what I present differently than anybody else, and of course with the Heartfulness debacle, is that the Sajmark system of meditation, I believe, is something that everyone who is going to survive or at maybe some point thrive after the system collapses. Like right now, the system rewards for being a sociopath, for being an a-hole, for being selfish, all these things, right? Financially and just in every other way, the system rewards for bad behavior and bad people. And, being spiritual actually hurts you. Connecting to the divinity within you, working on your heart, developing a strong internal world, and, all these things hurts you in various ways, right? And it's not what most people are doing. And so it's just where you're going to become more and more isolated, and your view and your perspective is going to be completely different than the majority of people. But that can change the whole energy of the planet is going to change in a way where people in the future who are selfish, who are whatever they are, their life's going to suck so bad. It's just like what you're drawing to yourself. Like right now, you're materially rewarded for being a bad person. And sociopaths can become billionaires and, successful and all these things, in terms of the modern day success. But, the energy can shift and societies can topple, and, where what you've put out into the world immediately comes back and creates a problem, is something that's encouraging you to stop being a dick, right? Stop being a bad person. And so, the feedback loop can be tweaked in such a way where it doesn't take years and it isn't subtle for you to, like, when you make a mistake and you deviate from your spiritual path, that you get immediate feedback that's rough and, that's, it just will wear people down. Like, they won't be able to survive being selfish. They won't be able to survive in just the conditions of the world and all the rest of it. So in the future, yeah, it'll be great to be a spiritual person, and you won't be able to really survive here without it. And so that's what I believe is going to happen in the world, like in a way that, I see it on various levels. And so the Sajmark system, the gratefulness meditation that's offered, that I tell people about here, is the system that's the best system to help people connect to the divinity within them. It's the only system that is its only goal, and its whole method and everything about it is to be as efficient and effective as possible in helping people do that, right? But people don't want that. And I've had 114 million views or 120 million views or whatever it is. I mean, across all my channels and all these things, and lots of people heard me talk about this. And so we're talking about millions of different people, and maybe 1,000 have tried it. Maybe 5,000 think about it as something that they'd be interested in, and so it's a small number, right? And I know this from not just my channel, but in general, people just don't want that. Regardless of whether it's what everyone's going to have to do in the future, people just don't want that. And like I was saying, there's just a small audience for that. I think there's probably well over 1 million people, 1 million adults, probably something like 10 or 15 million, that would agree that the system itself can't be fixed or something along those lines. They understand the left-right paradigm, and they feel like they want something to change. They feel like, I felt before I became a person who did this meditation. So maybe there's potentially, 10 million or so people in America, globally, more so, that feel that, that what I have to say here resonates with them on some level. And they'd be interested in the spiritual message and the way I view things. And, they'd have aha moments and epiphanies and things like some of you all have, right? And like I said, I'm going to give this thing till the end of the year, because it's election year and whatever it is, but I know it's going to get worse financially. And it's going to be more restrictive after that. They'll clamp down. This is just how it always goes. When money's to be made, YouTube is more lenient and more, these years where it's the good part of the season, like they don't put a lot of new restrictions into December when they have a lot of ad revenue for Christmas and November, towards the fall time where people are more indoors and more likely to watch videos and things. And their ad revenues, especially in a year like this, it's an election year. And all as I need is about 3 times the viewership that I have now, which isn't really all that hard to do. So we're talking about if I'm averaging, under 4 or 5,000 views a day, I need about 20,000 views per video at the current, whatever amount of money that YouTube's paying me. So 20 to 25,000 views a day isn't that many, right? Given the millions of people that potentially could be a part of my audience. But I haven't found a way to reach them. I'm not being helped by YouTube. You guys really can't do anything to bring people in. I mean, people have said that they'd be willing to post my stuff on Facebook or on social media, but no one's going to watch it because, they don't have people in their lives who would be interested in this, right? So, there's just, it seems like the door's just closing. And I'm not like bummed by it in the sense that, maybe it's time to put my energy into something else and just make less content. I can still make, the occasional video and, just whatever. And so, like I said, we'll see how the rest of this year plays out, and, I'll revisit this in January or whatever, and I'll probably, think about it and talk about it during this, period of time. But, other than that, I just, it doesn't seem like there's much of a chance of it reversing itself. And, I'm pretty sure that things are going to get more in terms of the internet, in terms of the everything that's available in our society, electricity even, it's going to get less consistent, right? And, there's things, and maybe that'll maybe that'll open the door to more potential audience. I don't know, but, it seems like the opposite's the case. Anyways, I just wanted to say these things. I want to wrap this thing up here, but let me get into the other things with Trump that I already started yesterday. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm going to do a health update. There's a lot of comments about my health in the last video. And the majority of comments came before I think the people listened to the end of the video or everything I had to say about my health. The only comment I saved was this one. um, Go to a doctor. Thanks for the video. Um, it's, I mean, whatever, for me personally, my reaction to the comment, but clearly doesn't understand me or the story. But, let me just say this again. I don't trust allopathic medicine. It's a last resort. It doesn't really work for me. But the main thing that I got out of it was it's a spiritual cleaning because I always get sick before these gatherings or something. There's always something that comes up, either emotional or it's not as bad now as it used to be, but I used to get really sick. I'm doing this thing called Gratefullness now, but it's really Saj Marg meditation that I did for years. And before a gathering would come up, I usually would get something, especially in the beginning, more severe sickness or whatever. And the rest of it, like people are saying, it's a heart condition, or a lot of people said heart stuff, but I pretty much moved on from that. The exercise I was doing for Marcola, I've done now for 2 to 3 months, and I've gotten better and stronger, and I've been able to elevate my heart rate more and more. It's just gotten better and better over the time period. So there was a video. Marcola started to think of himself as Jesus, and I made a video for my other channel. And I published that February 16th, and I'd been doing the exercise maybe a week before that, so early February. It's like 2.5 months. I didn't even realize I was doing that long. And I did it every day. And I started off with 2 rounds, and I get out of breath and get too tired. And, I didn't do it as well as I could have, like in terms of my form. I wasn't able to go down as far as I could now with the squatting. But, the longer I did it, the better I got at it. And, I felt good and strong after I did it. And, again, my heart was fine. And at that same time, again, I'm not recommending anything. I'm not saying anything about, what anybody else should do or any of these things. I'm just talking about my own experience. But there was a video about, a chiropractor, a woman chiropractor, talking about a medical doctor who was saying that the hiatal hernia and the swelling of the gut area was causing a lot of the heart issues that were happening now, which I experienced myself. Pressures the heart, and of course there's some sense there was nervous system stuff back when I had COVID, and I don't think I had a heart issue as much as I had these other things that were making it, the heart's not function as well or whatever was going on. In terms of tipping my head over, people are saying that it could be a clogged artery. It only happens situationally. Like it happened the summer after COVID, and then it happened infrequently over, whatever it was. And I went from feeling really good and strong to where I would have these episodes. And the thing that happened before when I was at the Grand Canyon, it was low oxygen there. That was years and years ago. But anyways, I feel a lot better. I did the exercise again yesterday and today, so it's fine. And I wasn't getting dizzy. And if, I get dizzy, I'm just going to slow down a little bit instead of powering through. So, and a big part of it I know had to do with spiritual cleaning or whatever. I don't, like to criticize people for giving random advice because maybe 1 out of 20 comments are helpful. So, like, I don't want to, stop the one good comment from coming in. But, some of the comments were just, they were, not really for my situation. They were either people didn't understand the story or didn't listen to all of it, or they just had their own reaction. But anyways, let's get into the other stuff here. I got a funny Biden clip coming up. But first, Trumpers have to come to terms with the fact that Trump is a disaster. He looks horrible. He just went out horribly as a president and as a person. And now it's just, constant drama. But the big problem is, before you could count, one thing with Trump was that he was not about the wars. He stopped all those ridiculous wars that were, were wars of abuse and economic wars to keep the economy going or whatever else they were. These big military industrial complex paydays. And he stopped them, to his credit. That's the thing Trump has that we can say he did much better than Obama and, Biden when Biden was a senator and vice president. And, Biden's disaster where he droned those kids in Afghanistan. All that stuff, right? And so that will go away now because of things he's saying about Israel. Trump is going to give Israel a blank check, and it's already dividing the country. And Trump is a nightmare on Israel. He's worse than Biden, and Israel is up. Biden is worse on Russia and the Ukraine, and so either way, there's a pathway to World War III with either of these clowns. Again, not that they have power, but Trump is clearly going to hand the keys to the kingdom over to Israel, and they can do whatever they want in the Middle East, and he's going to support them militarily in every possible way. Like Trump is going to go all in for them because of what he's saying. So it starts here. Trump says violence on college campuses has to stop immediately amid violent anti-Israel protests. Trump condemned the violent anti-Israel protests on college campuses overnight, telling Fox News Digital that weak and ineffective leadership at universities must be immediately replaced. Why? By who? Biden? Because it's the president can't fire university presidents and administrators, right? Universities are not federal employees, right? While declaring anti-Semitism must be stopped quickly and effectively. Again, this is about a lot of things, and the major thing is that there's a genocide going on.
Thank you very much. It's a big day in Pennsylvania, and we hope the people get out there and vote. It's important to vote to let them know that we're coming on November 5th. We're coming big. What's going on at the college level and the colleges, Columbia, NYU, and others, is a disgrace. And it's really on Biden. He has the wrong signal. He's got the wrong tone. He's got the wrong words. He doesn't know who he's backing. And it's a mess. He is the worst president in the history of our country. And again, what's going on is a disgrace. And I can tell you, he's no friend of Israel, that's for sure. And he's no friend of the Arab world either. He wants to take like a middle ground, and oftentimes that doesn't work, but it's certainly not working here. But what he's done to Israel is abandon them. Peace will never happen with a guy like this. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's a genocide going on, and that's should be clear to everybody. This official story is a joke, and there's a lot of bandwagoners. I don't believe in protests. I've talked about protests don't work, and I'll get into this in a narrative in a moment. Let's go to the other video here.
Within hours, probably the charges dropped, and there'll be no consequences, which will only embolden them. Your thoughts?
Well, I really think you have a lot of paid agitators, professional agitators in here, too, and I see it all over. And, when you see signs...
Who's paying them? What agency, who's paying these guys, these college kids or people to go in there and be professional agitators? Who's paying them? Like, what entity, what government, what, private organization is paying? Because Palestine doesn't have any support. Palestine doesn't have any love. Palestine doesn't have any big donors, any patrons, right?
And they're all identical. That means they're being paid by a source. These aren't hand-painted signs where people would go to their basement and paint something because they really believed it. These are all signs that are identical. They're made by the same printer. And, when you see that, that means there's somebody at top that's paying or a group that's paying. And they're doing great disservice to the world, but they're doing great disservice to our country. But when you look at New York in a state like this, but look at other cities, it's not a lot different. It's frankly worse in some places than it is right now in New York. And I think the New York City's finest have been incredible. The way they've been, it's not over yet, but the way they walked in and the way they climbed through that window, they were not afraid of anything. And it looks...
So when the big event happened in January, the big lie whole thing that happened in January after Trump's defeat to Biden, he was all for protesting. He brought together a mob and he sent them up to the Capitol Hill, which caused, him problems and everybody problems, the truth community problems. It's really dopey. But now he's anti-protest, right? And, he's just so narcissistic and petty. He's on the wrong side of this thing, right? In a big way.
It's like they've got it maybe clamped down, but it should never have gotten to this, and they should have done it a lot sooner than before they took over the building, because it would have been a lot easier if they were in tents rather than a building. And tremendous damage done, too. You know, when you look at that building, that's a landmark, and it's really been...
Okay. So let me say this again. I don't believe in protests. Protests don't work. It almost always has a backfiring effect where the people in charge grab more power and whatever you're protesting about gets worse. It almost always happens unless it's government-sanctioned protests. Oftentimes the protests are there to benefit the powers that be, and they stage the protests for that reason. And the people who are running the system don't care, and in many cases, they can't do anything about it. They know you're going to be unhappy, and they don't care about it, right? So protests don't work. We've seen it over and over again. They usually backfire. And there's so many bandwagoners, who get on the coattails of other people who now all of a sudden have a problem with Israel, right? And a lot of these college kids are just doing what the other ones are doing, and they don't really know the issues and whatever else is going on with the whole youthful thing. But they happen to be right about this because there is a genocide going on, and it's been going on for a while, and there's been land acquisition. And Israel has an army, a navy, and air force, and big lobbying. They're one of the biggest lobbyers of the American government, American politicians. We all know that, right? And so it's been a problem for a while. And it's not anything America hasn't done or other countries aren't trying to do. It's just the way that the world works with bullies and abusers and the abused. And so Trump is bought and sold by Israel. Like he's one of the biggest Israel supporters and Israeli supporters. And, of course, his son-in-law and all these other things, right? He has connections in the Arab world as well. His family got paid off by Saudi Arabia. But, one of his main power brokers is Israel. The bankers in Wall Street in Israel love Trump. And so that's where Trump has power, with some of these powerful entities, right? And, with Biden, Biden made so many mistakes and, he's on the wrong side of so many things. Certainly the Ukraine, and he isn't good on Israel. Biden isn't, good on Israel, and he's not good on Palestine, but he's better than Trump. And Trump will give Israel a blank check, and as a truther, you can't vote for that, right? It goes against everything that the truth community is about because it's fundamentally dishonest. But Trump supporters, they, either at this point they just are going to vote for anybody, or Trump is just always going to be conceived as being better than Biden. But they're just literally the same guy, right? And, if you're going to hire somebody, or you were going to, marry somebody, or, whatever kind of, you were going to go into business partnership with somebody, and the people that you're going to hire or marry or go into partnership with are the worst people. And they both suck. And one seems a little bit better than the other, but you don't have to hire, marry, or go into partnership with the people. Like, it's not something you have to do. It's not like you're given a binary choice and you have to make one, because there's a third option of not voting, or you can vote for anybody else, right? You can write in yourself as there's write-in ballots, and there's, you don't have to vote, but you don't have to vote for them either. And so there's really four options. Vote for one of the two guys, vote for somebody else, or don't vote at all. The problem with voting is you end up just delaying and thinking that Trump is actually going to do something that he's not. It prevents you from preparing and really assessing what's going on, is that we're screwed and the system's going to collapse no matter what, and nobody's going to stop it. And so, that affects you and everybody else as well, because there could be, it could be something, a time better used than waiting for, the great pumpkin to save you when he clearly isn't. Let's get to the other stuff here. Okay, I want to revisit this. I covered this in my last video.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is defending her decision to kill her 14-month-old female dog, Cricket. It's a puppy, actually.
Killed a puppy, yeah.
No.
Killed a puppy, yeah. So they go on and they bring an expert in, or a pundit, and they keep on doubling and tripling down with this idea that it's a puppy. It was a 14-month-old dog, full-grown dog, right? Young dog, but still full-grown. And it's obviously not a puppy. And I brought up the comparison to Biden's dog. It bit all these Secret Service agents and all these things. What I didn't mention here, and people do it, and the Republicans obviously do it, and Fox News does it, and people do it in the truth community. This is just dishonest. This story is what it is. And to some people, Kristi Noem's going to look horrible. To other people, they'll be more balanced. She's not going to look great because she was posturing and posing and trying to, boost her street cred, right? She still sucks. By talking about it dishonestly like it's a puppy, like she took a baby dog and just killed it, like some, devil-worshipping sacrifice, and she's into killing puppies, is, that's not what happened, right? And what she did, and the way that she played, the way she told the story in a self-promoting way, I mean, Kristi Noem sucks, but they suck just as bad or worse because they're, making it into something it isn't, right? By calling it a puppy. And the people who, are watching this, I mean, they should know how big a 14-month-old dog is. Within a year, a dog is usually pretty much full grown. And people who've had dogs know this. 14-month-old dog, I mean, they get out of the puppy stage quicker than a baby gets out of a baby stage, right? It's like a 1-year-old baby. Dogs have a much shorter lifespan, and they're, pretty much full grown after 6-8 months, right? I mean, they're not a puppy anymore after a couple of months. Like it's different, helpless puppy that can't see, and, it needs to be weaned from its mother, and then, a puppy that's, the puppy stage doesn't last long enough, right? Although, at some point, just because the dog isn't trained, you're pretty eager for it to grow up. Puppies are great, but you wouldn't want one forever, right? But for them to dishonestly say that it's a puppy, it's just everything that's wrong with people in the world. Like, tell the story. Don't embellish. Don't exaggerate it. In the truth community, it happens here as well. Like, just be honest about it, right? And if you're going to exaggerate, do it slightly. Like, you're going to be one-sided, subjective, sure. But don't, say something like this. And the people watching this should be like, wow, this show sucks. Like, it should go off the air. There should be no audience for this kind of news, but unfortunately there is. And there's an audience here in the truth community as well, because people want, things to be exaggerated, and they want to demonize the other side at all costs. Okay, so apparently the police, it says here, fresh chaos, arrests at U.S. college campuses as police flattened camp at UCLA. Police forcibly removed scores of defiant pro-Palestinian protesters at several colleges on Thursday, including taking down encampment at UCLA in a jarring scene that underscored the heightened chaos that has erupted at universities this week. So I haven't seen the videos yet, but I guess they're pretty graphic. And I just want to, wrap this thing up here with this. Biden is trying to walk back the defund the police liberal, protest crap that people are still, not just Republicans, but it's a losing issue for the Democrats. And then, trying to support Israel but also appeasing the youth that he needs to win. Biden's polling at 42% chance to win, Trump at 49. Trump's cap is like 48, 49. Like he can't, there's people, everyone else says they'll never vote for Trump. But Biden, is polling at 42%, and, I don't know how Kennedy's going to play into this or anything else, but, there's not going to be the same level of turnout. And the youth is, not digging Biden, and, they're really upset by this. And then I'm watching the video now, and it's pretty graphic. And this is not going to play well with the left and, all the people moving in this direction. There's going to be more and more anti-Israel sentiment, and Trump is going the opposite position. And so this is, catastrophe for Biden, and, all these things about Trump. I'm going to wrap this one up here. My voice is going, and, all the rest of it. But only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pouring from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.